So first of all, thanks to you all for joining. A lot of you would have appeared for December 21 inter exams and will be waiting keenly for your results, which probably is expected within the next 15-20 days. So at the outset, before we go ahead, wishing you all the best for that. Just again, before going ahead, once again, would like to request all of you to kindly go on mute and stop your videos for the moment. So first of all, what was the objective of this session? I think 3 years back, or I would say like almost 4 years now, when we started our articleship, all of us, we had almost the same questions that everyone has in their mind as to whether to go for Big Four for articleship, which firm to choose, either a small size, mid size, or Big Four. If to opt for Big Four, which exactly should be the field to choose. People say that if you go for Big Four, probably you don't end up focusing enough on studies, and that's how that is something that costs you a rank in CA final, etc. So I'm sure there are all of these questions that all of you must be having in your minds, and which is why we thought of probably addressing them on a common platform, which helps you, because these are the same questions that we would have wanted to ask our seniors when we wanted to go for articleship. We'll try to keep it on YouTube, but I would say for the time being, let's not take that as a granted. I mean, we obviously try, but try to attend this session as much as possible when it is live. So without in fact wasting more time, the way we've planned this session is those of us who are the speakers for this session will first go ahead and share their experiences in brief as to the domain they did their articleship in, how was it for them. And then we'll move to the common questions that we have either received from you guys or that we feel are supposed to be interested at the first place, or rather addressed at the first place. And then we can obviously go ahead to the questions that you guys might have. Right. So I think let's just get quickly started. Introducing our first speaker, that is C.S. Shah, who cleared his CA final in July 21 exams all throughout in first attempt. And he did his articleship from Deloitte Haskins and Sells LLP in the Ahmedabad office in the statutory audit department. And basically right now he's working at Vedanta Limited. So Zeel, why don't you start and share your experience with all of those folks who have joined in?
Yes, definitely. Thank you everyone for joining us for this session, because we understand that it is a weekend, and I think we really appreciate your dedication towards your career. So, all this very best for your results, and my dear future chartered accountants. So, I think I did my articleship from audit, and I think when I had applied for articleship in Deloitte, I was not, really opting for audit. Back of the mind, I thought that I should do my articleship from direct tax department or maybe indirect tax department, considering the fact because of the workload or the work pressure. Because everyone told me like that in statutory audit department, you will not be having much great work-life balance. But I think when I do a post-facto analysis, when I look in hindsight, I think that has been something is great for me. Because department actually gave me exposure of all the areas final, be it your FR, be it GST, be it or finance, be it or I think there are something of tax. Definitely will not be getting the exposure of tax as would exposure direct tax department. You get so you have this opportunity of learning tax to a greater extent. I got the opportunity of doing tax audits, and I think that gave me good exposure of taxation. I even witnessed an M&A transaction at one of my clients, and I think that gave me good perspective of how valuations are done, how finances are arranged, how treasury department works in order to execute an entire transaction. And I think when I say my expertise in financial reporting, I think whatever practical linkages I got was something because of the client which I audited, because I was having the exposure to cash flow statements preparation, verification. I even verified segment reporting part. I even verified consolidation adjustments, non-controlling interest, calculation and working. So if you think that statutory audit department is a conventional field, I think that is a misconception which everybody has, and I think these misconceptions need to be broken. So statutory audit department is something which is very beneficial for you if you are right now not sure of what is the career path in which you want to progress once you qualify. Because the biggest advantage of this particular department is when you qualify, you will be having this particular opportunity to explore any of the industry, be it finance industry, be it into Big Four, be it consulting, or be it in a conventional industry like a controllership role. So audit department, I think, heads off to this. I would say the disadvantage part of this is, certainly you all know, that is work-life balance, but that is something which is very subjective. And for me, I have been very lucky that I got good seniors, and because of that, I was able to manage studies regularly. And I think it has been a great experience with respect to leaves as well, because I got around 5 months of leave plus or minus the comp off which I had. And Deloitte audit was a great experience for me. So I think that's it from my side. We can take questions if you have, or we can go into next speaker. Devesh, over to you.
Zeel, I think thanks a lot at the first place for like sharing your personal experience, how it was before you joined Articleship and your post-facto analysis with respect to it. Questions, I think we'll keep it for later. You guys may keep noting the questions at your end. We'll certainly cover the questions once all speakers are done with their bit. So I think I'll next ask Shubham to take over. So Shubham Malhotra, I'm sure a lot of you must be knowing him. Basically, he secured an All India Rank 1 in November 18 intermediate exams. He has done his articleship from KPMG in the Corporate Tax and International Tax Department, KPMG Gurgaon. And he's awaiting his CA final results, which are around the corner and expected around, I would say, next week or so. So let's wish him all the best, I would say, before anything. But so over to you, Shubham. Let us hear from you now.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Devesh. Thanks for like congratulating me for the rank and saying all the best. So good evening, everyone. All those, thanks Naman for saying all the best. All those who are expecting your result for CA Inter, very all the best for you. I have been through this situation like 3 years back. I was expecting my result at this time, and I can like sense that tension as well as that excitement for your CA Inter results, which all of you might be having. So as Devesh rightly mentioned, that I did my articleship from KPMG India in corporate and international taxation, and I'll just try to like share my experience what I did over there. So to divide it in 3 parts, I would say the work in corporate tax, it's like 3 things: it's compliance, it's advisory, and it's litigation. So depending upon whatever client you are dealing with, there are certain tax compliances which every client needs to do, whether it's the income tax returns, the TDS returns. And I would say this is the most boring part of tax life because after a point of time, it gets monotonous. But the good part is that in Big Fours, you don't get to do a lot of compliance work. Majority of them are outsourced to a very small firms or towards the back end team. So this is like good for having like an experience. You can file 1 or 2 income tax returns to have a good hand on it. But like you won't get a lot of exposure about compliance in Big Fours. The second part is advisory. Like this is the most interesting one, and I would say the most like wide horizon it can get. So depending upon whichever clients you are dealing with, so let's say your client is Google, and Google is setting up a subsidiary in India. So Google is going to ask you what are the tax implications of it. And as a tax consultant, you have to think about it. What are going to be the tax consequences of it, of each and every transaction which the client is dealing with. So this is where you have to research a lot, you have to read a lot, and then you send your opinion to the client that this is going to be the tax impact of it. And the third part is tax litigation, wherein you have to deal with like ITAT, like the tribunal, high courts, supreme courts. You have to represent the case before the assessing officer, and it can like go with the lawyer wala part, that order. But it is definitely very interesting one, and I was lucky to have a very good experience of litigation in my articleship because I had a lot of clients with bit heavy litigation going up to Supreme Court level. So this was like my articleship experience. I feel at this point what happens is most of the CA Inter students, they are a bit biased towards tax. The reason is in a broader perspective, there are 2 fields, right? Audit as well as tax. So if you compare these 2 subjects, tax is more practical one, and going by our Indian mentality, हम लोगों को numbers पसंद आते हैं. So that's one of the reasons we tend to like tax more than audit. But as like Zeel rightly mentioned, that audit is not just about like those clerical work and all those stuff. There's much beyond to that. If you get a very good horizon about work, you are sitting right there in the industry, understanding the financial statements and everything. So don't think audit as a theoretical subject which you have studied. I would say the second worst subject of CA Inter after EISSN. But yes, the work in audit is very much different from what it is, what you read theoretical. The reason I went ahead with tax was that I had a very keen interest towards that subject. Even when I was studying it for my CA Inter, I used to love finding the loopholes and the interlinking between different sections. Plus, so I live in Delhi and my office was in Gurgaon. And at that time, it was around 1.5 hour travel each side. So I used to travel for 3.5 hours every day just to go to office. And to add to that, to client location for audit, that was not possible for me. Because see, my team is not going to appreciate that 9 baje agar office start ho raha hai and I'm leaving at 7:30. they want me to be right there at client location at whatever the reporting time is, 10 or 11. So I had to reduce that traveling time. I could not afford to travel for more than 3 hours. That was one of the reasons I opted for taxation. And if I look back, that was like one of the best decisions. I love this subject, and I've like enjoyed every bit of my articleship. I am still like doing the last month of my articleship here. And all I can say is like, if you like technical work, if you like reading a lot of stuff, this is like a very good field to explore. It makes you a good, it improves your writing skills a lot, I would say, because you have to draft a lot of submissions and emails. It makes you a very good reader and fast reader, because you have to read tons and tons of case laws, tons and tons of research paper, and it is definitely going to help you cover that mammoth subject in CA final. Like DP, you ask any CA final students, and the quantum of syllabus we all have in direct taxation, that is like huge. And if you have like your articleship in direct tax, that eases your syllabus to a very good extent. So that is something which you can like consider. But having said that, it's not like just tax hi acha hai, audit hi acha hai. Try to apply to all the profiles and then see whatever you can get. Don't restrict yourself to one question. So another point which I would like to add is like the work-life balance which I had, the working hours. So see, there is no thumb rule in Big Four that this is going to be our working hours. We are not doing a government job, a 9 to 5 job. So we used to say like office mein that aane ka time hai, jaane ka time nahi hai. So I used to like to share my experience. So this is something which actually varies from team to team. I would just share my experience. So I used to join office at around 10, and most of the days I used to leave around 8. So this was my normal working hours. At times, when during the peak seasons, I have worked till like 2 or 3 in the morning, and like that was like maybe I can say once or twice in a month, that at max. So yeah, that is your work-life balance if you want to ask. Weekends are mostly free. You can easily manage your studies if you're consistent enough. So yeah, that's it from my side. Over to you, Devesh.
Sure, I think you've covered it. All that could have been covered so far as corporate tax is concerned, and left nothing for me. And I totally agree with each word that you mentioned. Obviously, with a different context, but nevertheless, thanks a lot for making out time to come here and guide all of these juniors of yours with your experience. We'll surely come back to you with more questions soon. Now, let us quickly move to our next speaker, and that is CAS Choksi. He secured an All India rank 46 in his CA intermediate, and he secured an All India rank 35 in his CA final. He did his first year of articleship from PwC, Ahmedabad, in the statutory audit domain, and he's currently and then he moved to I would say a mid-size or a big firm, and you're in Ahmedabad only. And I would say right now he's working in Alvarez and Marshall. So over to you, Yash. And just before that, everyone except for the speakers, please put off your cameras if that is not a very big ask. Thank you so much. Gaurav, if you could do that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot for the introduction, Devesh. Very warm welcome to all of you joining this meeting on a Saturday evening with results around the corner. It's almost jeene kya 4 din wala mahol, and that too, even in that mahol, you are joining the meeting for your articleship guidance. Hats off to all of you. So I'm very happy to share my insights and experience to any extent helpful for all of you. So as Devesh mentioned, I cleared my May 18 inter, and then in August 18, I joined PwC in the audit and assurance department. August 19, almost after a period of 5 days short of a year, I switched to a mid-sized firm in Ahmedabad, again in the audit and assurance department. So my articleship experience comprised mainly of statutory audits, tax audits, GST audits, process reviews, and with a pinch of taxation in all of them. So I'll tell you, my majority of my audits were in the sector of heavy engineering or FMCG, or in the container freight station. I had the opportunity of having an audit done in the container freight station department, which is not so common sector as far as I'm concerned. So that was a very good experience for me. Now, many of you, when I joined the audit department, I was very skeptical about that particular field, that it's only standards on auditing, it's only theory, everything. Like Zeel mentioned, it's not at all like that. So the major areas that we get exposure into is FR mein each and every standard, you have to be very comfortable with the intricate details of every standard to be able to conduct the audit in the second and third year. Maybe the first year utna major areas tumko nahi milenge. For example, revenue,
all those areas are some areas which will be definitely looked by the people who have experience in audits or who have prior experience with that particular client. Pura revenue model samajhna, everything, how the company generates revenue, how they incur expenses, etc. For those maybe second third year में तुमको revenue taxation वो सब में experience मिलेगा, but in all the 3 years combined, FR standards are a must. Standards in auditing definitely. Consolidated financial statements. If you have the opportunity of working with a major group, a big group which has several subsidiaries, you will get to work with all the CFS adjustments, etc. Then taxation, as I said, with a pinch of taxation. So you cannot get the complete exposure for taxation. Example, appeals, वो सब नहीं मिलेगा for obvious reasons in audit department. But definitely क्या treatment रहती है for any particular item or any case laws जो भी है वो definitely you will get in touch with them. And so that's about it about my experience in audit, and I look forward for the questions. Yeah, Arshid, I'll definitely answer that question in a while. My reason for leaving a Big Four.
Yeah, in fact, let's just come to the questions after all the speakers are done. Probably a few of your questions might be answered by the other speakers as well. So let us wait for that a little. And Yash, again, thanks to you for making it over here on a Saturday evening, because it's like a weekend for you as well, and it's totally working with tennis working hours, I'm sure. So thanks a lot to you for joining. I think I go next, so as to not have that probably I would say not having that boredom of having two audit people speaking consecutively. So I'll take up tax next, followed by Ashish could follow. Yeah. So talking about me, I think a few of you might know about me through either LinkedIn, etc. So I secured an All India rank 6 in May 18 exams and All India rank 13 in CA final July 21 exams. And I did my articleship from Deloitte Haskins and Sells LLP Ahmedabad in the corporate tax domain. It's actually called Global Business Tax here in Deloitte. It basically means corporate and international tax. Also, currently I'm working at B&N company. Just let me know if my if I'm inaudible at any point of time. I think Shubham, you can let me know.
Yeah, the voice broke. Your voice broke.
Yeah, I think I'll just repeat the last bit and then I could move on. Yeah. So basically, I did my articleship from Deloitte, Ahmedabad office in the corporate tax domain. And here in Deloitte, it's called Global Business Tax, which is basically domestic plus international tax, majorly the corporate taxation, obviously given the fact that it's Big Four. And currently, I'm working as an associate consultant in B&N company. So with I think so far as the corporate tax profile is concerned, Shubham has really mentioned a lot about what is compliance, what is litigation, what is the entire bit that would have been covered. So I will not go about repeating it. I totally agree with what Shubham said. So I just address as to my reason of probably choosing Big Four at the first place, and second choosing, I would say, tax. So the thing is, I basically always had that inclination towards tax since the time I thought of joining CA. So when if in my case, when I thought of joining CA, it was majorly the thing that I knew what CA does is probably works around income taxes. That's the image that I had in my mind. I'm sure everyone has a different image. So and obviously you've heard a lot about probably people planning or probably evading taxes, and I was really intrigued by how all of that is done. Unfortunately, or rather I would say not unfortunately, that's totally a wrong word to use, but I would say that is certainly not done in Big Four, like just to bring it out very clearly. But yeah, the point is I was very intrigued about all of that, which is one of the major reasons why I always felt inclined about joining tax. And inter as well, tax as a subject was something that always interested me, like it did to Shubham. But that is again something that I want to really comment upon, and which is that don't go for a particular domain because you like that subject. I think I have seen a lot of people probably either going for direct tax or indirect tax specifically only because that is a subject that they've probably liked during their inter studies, etc. But I would say that is totally not the right ways of choosing. And I would say audit particularly is very different in practical than in theory. And I'm sure Ashish and others can totally address this. So is tax, I would say. So that certainly should not be a basis, but this was at that point of time my initial thought process, which is why I was a little more inclined towards going for tax over audit. And again, like Shubham mentioned, I was very much aware of the fact that audit would involve a lot of traveling, which I was not very much open to or comfortable with at that point of time. again, that this also may not be totally a good basis to decide. I'm just putting it out what I had in my head at that point of time versus what should be an ideal scenario. So the ideal scenario is not really to decide on the basis of you having to travel unless you have a reason not to. In fact, the job I've taken, that is consulting, would certainly involve a lot of traveling. So at the end of the day, I have to be open to it, come what may. So that again should not be a basis, but yeah, that was a basis. And again, so the third and the major point that I would say, I think I'm speaking more about audit when I say so, but and that is, there's a conception. I would not say whether there's a misconception or not, and I think my folks, my friends from audit can answer it better. But to the extent I know, it is certainly a misconception that audit, articleship in audit or articleship in audit in Big Four is totally clerical stuff. I would say honestly, that's not the case. It may be so. It may be a lot of clerical stuff, which is going to be there even so far as tax is concerned or say other fields are concerned. But then that's totally not the case. So don't choose a tax thinking that audit mein clerical kaam hi hoga. And don't not go, I mean, not do not think of not going for audit thinking okay, there'll be a lot of traveling, or probably you dislike audit as a subject, or probably the fact that the workload will be more in audit, or all of those thoughts. But yeah, certainly talking about the major differences between tax and audit that I found, I mean, over a 3 years period, me having done tax and speaking to my friends who've done audit, was majorly the fact that all of those folks who've actually done their articleship in audit have a much more insights and clarity on the entire end-to-end business processes. It's not that you just know the financials, you also know the business processes and insights into the business. While those of us in tax do have a little less clarity towards it. And as a matter of fact, I would say, given the fact that we are all done with our placements as well. I mean, obviously, Shubham is yet to get his results. But yeah, apart from us, those who cleared in July 21, we are all done with placements. And we certainly observe that a lot of industries do prefer do prefer those who've done their articleship specifically in the audit domain, because the role may be more suited to those who've done articleship, and that is a matter of fact. So while choosing your domain in the articleship, you may also keep in mind this fact. But then again, it's not that those having taken tax during their articleship are not given a chance at the first place. Certainly not the case. Had it been so, I would have not been here, I would say. But yeah, so that is one thing that I would like to add, that having that articleship in audit certainly gives you a lot of exposure, not just from understanding the business processes, but let me give you a perspective. Probably when you have to travel a lot, right, that grooms up your overall personality. I mean, I remember Ashish had once shared with me that incident, and I'm sure I leave that incident to him. But when you have to travel to client places, you become independent, right? So you might have to travel alone, and you may have to manage your own clothes or whatever. So that way you become a lot more independent, and I think your overall personality certainly is groomed. Again, having said that, working in direct tax throughout those 3 years has been a wonderful experience. My case, what I loved the most in direct tax was the litigation part of it. I don't know, somehow I always felt that I could have become a lawyer if not a CA. So I was very much inclined towards it, and that way I felt my personality better suited tax more than audit. And that is a call that you all will have to take for yourself as to what your personality is more suited for. And like Shivam said, you'll have to do a lot of reading, and not just reading, you'll have to do a lot of research, because you have to go through past case laws, and you have to read the act thoroughly and all of that. And again, this brings me to one more point, and I'll try to wrap it up quickly from my end. And that point is, आपको बिग फोर कुछ सिखाए या ना सिखाए, कैसे सीखना है वो सिखा देता है. And here's a short instance that I would like to share again. I remember going to my uncle's office in one of the tax seasons, and I saw the articles working over there. They were probably much more efficient than I was in filing returns. But then probably I felt that's what I felt, and I might be wrong, but I felt that the clarity of what they were doing, that is why was a particular say accounting transaction treated in a particular manner from the income tax view, was something that they might not have had. They would be probably simply putting in numbers because their seniors would have asked them to. But here in Big Four, I would say you are asked to have that understanding, read the Bare Act, and have that knowledge. So even though I might not be very efficient so far as the operational stuff is concerned, or the clerical part of it is concerned, but certainly on the whole, like again Shivam mentioned, it's a lot of technical part of it, and that certainly grooms up your, I would say, your research at the first place, and then again, having developed that skill of how to how to learn a skill, how to acquire a skill. And I think that is something that all of us will agree. It's not just specific to tax. It is probably all across the domains, at least so far as Big Four is concerned. So that's all I would say for now. And I think next I would like to ask Ashish to come over and share his experience at PwC Kolkata. So he's worked as a statutory audit in PwC Kolkata, and he secured an All India rank 36 in the CA final in July 21 exams. Currently placed at Marico Limited, one of the most sought after jobs, I would say, for fresher CAs. Over to you, Ashish.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Devesh, and thanks everyone for joining in. So it's a good deal to be with the Big Four, but it's not say otherwise to not be. Now, firstly, what I understand is the crowd. If I say means we had the Google Forms collected, so around 56-57%. What we saw is someone who had attempted the December exams. So yeah, you would have your results soon, but I understand the crowd is a bit noise. So let me first make you understand what are the departments that are available in the Big Four, so that you can understand what we are doing and say what choices you have. So the Big Four usually breaks it down into three categories. First is the advisory section, second is the taxation section, and third is the assurance section. So what happened is, say in the past 10-15 years, if you would see the trend, the articleship, say people getting articleship in the assurance section is like around 50-60% of the crowd. Rest 30-40% is what gets in the taxation section. But now, as per the, say, if you see in the last 6 months or say 1.5 years, you would see that there are recruitments done for articles in the advisory section as well. So what these sections are, what do they cover? So say assurance by its name goes with audit, made be internal audit, be it say risk assurance or say statutory audit. On the other hand, taxation, as mainly Devesh covered and Shubham also covered. So that is what taxation covers. What advisory covers is, though I was not from the advisory, but yeah, once you get into Big Four, you have knowledge of all. So advisory usually covers various say consultation jobs or say M&A structures or say deals advisory. So these are various departments that would go around advisory. So you can say advisory is a bulk bucket, where if nothing falls into assurance and taxation, it goes in there. So that is how we define advisory. Now, so what opportunities would you have? So in advisory, it's not all the departments that take articles, but usually what I have seen the post from PwC that they have started recruiting in the M&A section and also various other sections, not in the deal section, but yeah, M&A is a portion they have started taking. Also, recruitments have gotten up a bit speed on the indirect taxation in the taxation field, and also yeah, direct taxation was always there, but yeah, IDT hiring has gone up. Apart from that, on the assurance section, usually it was the statutory audit that the Big Fours used to hire, but now in the risk assurance also, sometimes I find that these companies have started hiring. So risk assurance is not exactly internal audit, but yeah, there are other factors to it that form risk assurance. It is good to do articleship and valuation if you get it, say. On the first place, what I can say on a general note, I find it to be too good to do articleship from Big Four. Now, getting options, if you have 5 options and then it is one to select, then maybe you need to say preference those things. Sorry for the background noise, but yeah, you need to preference those things, and then I would be able to answer your question whether it is good to do in valuation or not. But say similarly for risk advisory or internal audit. But this is how you need to do, because what we have seen, say you are seeing a picture of the next 3 years, and what we have seen is something beyond that next 3 years. That is say, as Devesh already mentioned, that we have gone through our recruitment drives and we are already placed. So we see an impact that has come from the Big Four or something. It's not just the brand tag that comes with that is what you will take forward. It's a corporate culture that they will teach you, and that is what you will take it forward. I think disturbance.
Ashish, I think you can go ahead. I've muted everyone.
Yeah, thanks, Devesh. So that is something about the audit section. Say I'll just give a brief idea. Obviously, Zeal covered a lot. Yash covered a lot about what audit is and what we do. So obviously, anywhere it is not that you would do clerical jobs. Say you can go with an assumption that you do clerical jobs in audit. Similar could be a position in taxation. So that is not how a person's mindset should be. Your mindset should be that if you put in efforts, you would obviously get to do what is not required. So say on my personal note, I did a extra mile effort. Maybe I had put in, and that is the reason, say my seniors used to prefer me over a qualified chartered accountant having experience of 3, 4, 5 years also. So that is your personal effort that will make you that will give you the type of work you want, and not say your designation there. Because everyone in every place, be it a Big Four, be it any other place you do an articleship, or be you be doing your jobs after getting qualified, it is just your intent, that is what matters, and your output. So it is not something that is coming from whom, it is something that what is coming from you. So that is what will define you. So that is one thing. Now I've seen that people have various questions like should we move out of our hometowns, or should we say why should we move out after 1 year, or say what time do we get to study. Those questions will be covered in the coming up section where everyone will take it up individually, so that won't be a worry for you people. But yeah, I would just say a recommendation on an overall note that you should go for Big Four if that's a choice available. But it is nothing that it will undervalue you not going there, and it is not something that will boost you and boost you after 3 years. It is something that will put you in line and let you know the corporate culture that is much required after 3 years. So that's something from me, Devesh.
Devesh, I think I would like to touch upon a particular point which was mentioned by Ashish regarding the extra mile effort which you put into. I think it is very pertinent to discuss this particular fact because